the Twitch community, Katerino is a streamer who is shrouded in infamy. Back in 2020, she was embroiled in a huge controversy, being accused of cheating on then influential YouTuber CallMeCarson with several guys. This resulted in a nearly 2-month-long campaign that sent a barrage of attacks towards Kate, with everyone trying to get new info and win the rat race. But what if I told you that Carson and Kate were never dating in the first place? How would you feel if you found out that most of the rumors spread about Kate were completely false? Whether it be the number of boyfriends or Kate's intentions, not a single person has gone back and looked at this story with a finer lens, with everyone continuing to push the same false narratives about the situation. So today, I'm going to uncover the truth, so we can figure out what really caused Kate to come crashing down.
We're figuring this out tonight.
Let's start by breaking down the timeline of events. Since the beginning of her career, Kate had been a clout chaser, and had a consistent pattern of trying to get the attention of large streamers in order to leech off of them. Despite her best efforts, many who were influential at the time would continue to ignore her, but she did manage to get the attention of both Mizkif and Destiny. Cut to TwitchCon 2019. During this event, Kate hung around many different people. Most of what was documented were things like Kate hanging out with Swordaway and Lakari during their stream, or the fact that she was invited into Destiny's harem. But one story you probably don't know about is the first confirmed interaction between Kate and Carson.
Carson met Kate, and when he met her, I remember meeting her and talking to him, and like immediately afterward, this is no shade at Kate, I have no problem with Kate. And I was basically like, dude, I wouldn't be fucking with that if I were you. Look, that girl's a flirt. I don't think that you're quite ready for that yet.
I know that some will be quick to dismiss Noah's story given his role in Carson's downfall, but what he said here actually lines up with their Twitter activity. And now, we get to the infamous episode of The Rostular. Before this stream, Kate had already appeared on several other episodes, and had even won one of them. So what made this episode so different? Well, at this point in his career, Carson was attempting to better integrate himself with the Twitch community, and going on Lover Host was a good way to do that. Because most of them were unaware of the show, Carson's fans would begin to believe that what had happened was real, and this led to people beginning to ship Carson and Kate as a couple. During a stream on December 11th, Carson clarified that he and Kate were just doing a bit for content.
Because I think there's a difference between shipping people that clearly are fine with the shipping and are encouraging it, such as me and Kate or Fitz and Pokimane, which is putting it up for a bit, very much. We're encouraging it.
This is where things get weird. 2 days after that clip, Kate flew out to California to visit Carson for a week, where the two of them would stream and go to Disneyland together. After this trip, viewers could tell that something had changed, with people clipping moments like this one.
We should play more games together sometime.
I'm so down.
Like maybe like a date or something.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Another detail that people gloss over is that Carson and Kate both appeared on another Lover Host each. The one Kate was on was for Carson's friend and fellow streamer Fitz, where another friend named Jay Schlatt would call in to confront Kate for being on the show.
I think probably Katerino is the worst choice for Fitz.
Really?
Mainly because I'm good friends with Carson, and it upsets me to see her choose love for him, and then Carson goes all the way with her, and then now,
Hey.
a couple weeks later, she's on.
They went all the way?
Listen, I am the type of person who I think that I should explore all my options and try to find exactly who is best for me before I settle down and actually date someone. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Was this real? Was it meant to be a bit? We may never know. For the next month, things would continue as normal, but by the end of February, it was starting to become clear that something was wrong with Carson. On March 12th, he publicly announced that he would be taking a break from making content, and for the next few weeks, viewers were speculating about what happened. This culminated in a Reddit thread on March 31st, where people noticed that Carson had unfollowed Kate and Fitz. One commenter who believed that Carson and Kate were actually dating suggested that Kate had cheated on Carson for Fitz. And the moment Carson responded, a nuke was dropped onto Kate's career. Knowing what we do now, we have information that proves that Kate had nothing to do with Carson's break. But at the time, viewers would take this comment and claim it was the definitive reason that Carson had been depressed. Overnight, both Kate and Fitz began hemorrhaging followers, and for 2 weeks, both of them would remain silent. On April 14th, Kate finally responded, and she revealed that for over a year, she had been secretly dating her manager, Anthony. As a result of Kate's refusal to take accountability, instead blaming her mental health issues, the video would be mass disliked, where it sat at over 500,000 before ultimately being privatized. The next day, Fitz released his response, and this one was received much better because he got straight to the point and apologized directly to Carson. Fitz also gave an extended statement about the situation on the Misfits podcast, but we'll get back to that later. Initially, this was believed to be the end of it. Kate had cheated on Carson with Fitz while having a secret relationship with her manager. Surely nothing would happen to completely change the story, right? Nope. First, I Will Dominate came forward to reveal that Kate had led him on too, and then XQC came out with a story alleging that Kate abandoned Anthony at a party and went inside an unknown person's hotel room. By the time that the Sort Away clip began circulating, the water had been completely muddied, and everyone lost sight of the issue with Kate supposedly cheating. Instead, the story turned into a rat race to find out how many boyfriends Kate had, with the criteria becoming so ridiculous that it's astonishing that nobody else has called this out. So how many guys are actually involved? 5? 6? 7? Well, everyone from reputable sources to Twitter narcissists came up with different numbers, with one document even claiming that Kate had up to 12 boyfriends. I'm not joking. Ignoring how more than 3 guys would be infeasible for anyone to keep up with, numbers as large as these are really just a product of the hate campaign. Due to the high number of accusations made against Kate, we're gonna need to break each of them down so we can figure out what's really going on here. In order to get to the bottom of this, we need to start by defining how we're going to measure the number of guys. And for this, I came up with 3 factors. 1. Credibility. If the only evidence we have against someone is a Redditor or Twitter user deluding themselves into believing that their speculation or fantasies are fact, then that's not enough evidence to say that person was a boyfriend. We're also not going to accept things like body language analysis because that's just not how things work. It should also be noted that Kate has changed her story multiple times, from implying there were only 3 guys in her apology, to saying there were 4 in interviews with 2Mad and Dr. K, to then rescinding everything on a stream with Ms. Kiff. This makes her an unreliable narrator, so the only things we can trust from her will have to be confirmed from a third party. 2. Time frame. According to fans who believe that they were in a relationship, the time frame that Carson and Kate were dating was from November 18th, 2019 to April 1st, 2020. If another guy is confirmed to have been with Kate, but the interaction falls out of this time frame, then that case will be disqualified for being out of range. The reason I'm doing this is because Carson supposedly being cheated on was the whole reason that this became a controversy to begin with. 3. Category. When compiling their lists, previous investigators never bothered to measure how involved Kate actually was with the guy. For instances where Kate repeatedly led someone on, this will be considered a relationship, where a one-time incident is better described as a hookup. To quickly review, the things we need to look at are credibility, the time frame, and the nature of the relationship. Now that we have this criteria established, we can actually begin to look at the claims to see who was or wasn't with Kate. Given the order that information and claims came out in, it's best that we start at the main situation with Carson and Fitz. My theory as to what happened is that at some point between TwitchCon 2019 and December, Carson developed a crush on Kate. If what Schlatt said on Fitz's Rostular is true, then we can figure out what Kate and Carson got up to during their week together. At this point, I believe that a miscommunication occurred, with Carson believing that they were dating, while Kate only saw things as a friends with benefits experience. In her flawed apology video, one of the few things that Kate did right was admitting to leading on Carson, and Josh's response reflects a similar sentiment. On the Misfits podcast, Fitz would give an extended response where he took fault for his role in the story, which was hooking up with Kate at a party.
You know, I have apologized and explained myself to Carson privately behind the scenes, and things have sort of been worked out. And also, I just want to remind everyone that they don't really know the full story, and it's not really anyone's business at the end of the day to know the full story.
Whoa, what?
In order to be fair, I want to quickly bring up the claims that Carson outright lied about what happened. The things supporting this theory are Fitz saying that people don't know the full story, anything for views claiming Carson gave Fitz permission to hook up with Kate at the party, as well as the clip from December of Carson saying that it was all a bit. Though these things make it seem like this theory has weight, this makes no sense when you realize that both Kate and Fitz released apologies admitting fault, as well as factoring in the 3 testimonies from people who were very close to Carson when this happened, who all claimed that he genuinely believed he was in a relationship with Kate. Despite this, many people continue to claim that Carson lied just because of the Anything for Views tweet, but I personally remain unconvinced. The next person to discuss is Kate's manager, Anthony Bell. According to this Redditor, Kate and Anthony began dating sometime in mid-2018, and this claim can be verified by many tweets like this one showing the couple frequently going out together. When everything initially went down, Anthony had privated his Twitter out of shame, but today we can see that he and Kate are still working together and even dating to this day.
What?
One more thing I should note about Anthony is the fact that he used to be involved with Tempo Storm's marketing team. And I bring this up because it was one of the points that was used by people who were trying to identify other guys that Kate had been with. We'll come back to that when it becomes relevant. Unlike the others that we have covered, I Will Dominate had no idea that Kate was involved in any controversy, being under the impression that Kate and Carson were only doing things for stream content. From September 2019, they saw each other 10 times, where Kate repeatedly led on Dom and made him believe that he was the only one actually dating her, when this was not the case at all. Before coming forward, Dom specifically reached out to Carson before giving his statement to ensure that he wouldn't be roped in with Fitz and Anthony, and Kate herself confirmed this relationship in the 2Mad interview. Skipping ahead, once the story changed from investigating a potential cheating scandal to a boyfriend witch hunt, one of the first clips to circulate was of this man referring to Kate as his girlfriend. Who is this guy? Why was this clipped in the first place? As it turns out, one of the bits that was being done on Sortaway's TwitchCon stream was pretending that he and Kate were dating, and we can confirm this using later clips in the VOD.
Did you guys know that I date Katerino?
Oh my god!
I did not know that.
Did you guys know?
I thought
anyone else here date Katerino?
Sortaway does.
I think Joe here does.
Raise your hand, man.
Despite this information being readily available, the lies got so bad that Sortaway had to take to Twitter to clear his name, but he did shit on some amateur detectives in the process. Similarly, John Zerka would have this clip of him and Kate meeting in October taken out of context, and would later claim to have hooked up with Kate during that month. John publicly denied hooking up with Kate, but even if he did, the only instance we have of this happening is outside of the time frame by a month. It's already bad enough that both of these claims were widely circulated despite minimal evidence, but in reality, neither of these are the worst case of this happening. Future Kyoto here. I decided to get rid of the segment that was originally going to be here because I didn't like it, but I'm still going to run through some of the information from the document in the description just so you can get a good idea of how wrong some of these claims were. Let's cover this first. As you can see here, Kate and E-Rob had some fun together in bed. It looks like some Redditors got their grubby hands onto the picture, but one thing that they never considered was when this incident actually occurred. You want to know the truth? Yep. So when Kate put this on Instagram, she uploaded it a month before she had met Carson. I think that this claim is really just a textbook example of everything that went wrong with this investigation. Another thing you might remember is those pictures of Kate and Destiny that I showed earlier in the video. Here's another one depicting Kate in this badge in Destiny's hotel room. Those of you paying attention earlier may remember this, and that's because the tweet in question was from September 28th, 2019. You may be thinking it makes no sense that this would be turned into an accusation given that the pictures are blatantly from TwitchCon, but that's still not the worst instance of this happening. One more thing I want to do is play an interesting clip from an Ice Poseidon stream. The context will spell itself out, all you have to do is take note of when this supposedly happened.
Me, Mitch Jones, and Katerino had a threesome and had sex 2 years ago at TwitchCon 2017.
Look, I don't trust anyone mentioned in this clip. What matters is that this claim, if true, took place 2 years before Carson and Kate even knew about each other. To give some context, Kate wouldn't begin streaming until June 2018, and at this point in his career, Carson was most known for a failing podcast. More on that another time, but just to make it clear, these people are so fucking dense that they genuinely believe that Kate somehow cheated on Carson in 2017. How do you fuck that up? Those of you with a keen eye may remember an accusation that I missed. One that involves a person whose identity was never revealed to the public. The main source of this story is XQC, who stated that Kate went to a party with Anthony in 2020, but ultimately wound up spending the night in another guy's hotel room. XQC said something that piqued my interest while revealing this information.
There's another, but out of respect for that person, that I respect a lot, I'd rather not say who it is.
Initially, I thought this testimony was questionable, and in isolation it wouldn't be enough to confirm that anything happened. But then I saw that Asmongold and Yasuo both claimed similar things to XQC, that they knew more information but couldn't reveal who was involved. Why can't they speak? Is this person in a position of power? Who is the man behind the slaughter? The first target that people would latch onto was Tempo Reynad, who is the founder and owner of Tempo Storm, and there were 3 reasons why this occurred. 1. Kate had uploaded a promo video joining Tempo Storm, but would be removed from the group after the scandal broke. 2. Anthony once worked on Tempo Storm's marketing team. 3. Destiny archived a Dungeons & Dragons stream where Kate can be seen at Reynad's house. The reason that this proof seems so strong to a lot of people was the fact that everything seemed connected to Tempo Storm in some way, mainly because Kate had spent some time after TwitchCon at Reynad's house. The issue with this, again, comes from the date when this all happened. As we can see in Destiny's VOD, the day that this stream took place was on October 3rd, 2019, which again falls out of the range of when she was supposedly dating Carson. So what about the first 2 points? Well, what about them? It's likely that Anthony was the one to introduce Kate to Reynad, not caring where she slept, and then the two were working together to give her a place in Tempo Storm, which ultimately fell apart when she got cancelled. In terms of the stay itself, Reynad mentioned in his response that 5 people had stayed at his house during TwitchCon 2019, and this only fueled further conspiracies about who was involved with Kate. Because people were so focused on trying to prove Reynad's involvement, they assumed that he was guilty regardless of what he said, when in reality the evidence is circumstantial at best. It also shows a lack of proper research. If we lowered the standard of proof to this level of absurdity, while getting completely parasocial about a streamer's involvement with Kate, there's one man's connections that everyone seemed to ignore. Early into her career, one of the first figures that Kate was able to gain contact with was Mizkif, who had just blown up off the back of Ice Poseidon and would go on to run OTK. The first interactions between the two go back to January 2019, and over the next 6 months, the two would frequently collab, with compilations of them popping up by July. This resulted in Miz beginning a relationship with Maya Higa. But Kate continued to appear on his streams anyways. When everything came out, Mizkif's entry into the story would be unique, as he had chosen to deliberately insert himself, but not by claiming that he was a boyfriend. Instead, Mizkif went on a livestream with this creepy fuck, where the two would claim that they were the ones responsible for telling Carson about Kate supposedly cheating on him. Mizkif would be among the many streamers who capitalized on the drama, and he and Kate have now run with the Carson lie narrative, which is only because his attempt to bring back Carson into the limelight caused problems with Schlatt. Before someone comments about this, his reason for regretting it makes no sense either, as he claims to not follow drama, but this makes no sense when you juxtapose it with the earlier clip of him claiming that he was the one that told Carson about the Fitz incident. Because of these lies, among many others, I've now come to believe that there's something suspicious going on here. Mizkif's word on everything is inconsistent and makes no sense, and his platform being the one where Kate suddenly switched up and rescinded her apology is also weird. Given that there are 3 different testimonies claiming that Kate went into another man's hotel room, with all of them refusing to name who did it out of respect, this makes me wonder, is Mizkif the man behind the slaughter? I don't want to be a hypocrite and cause more problems on a video that is supposed to debunk misinformation, so how about we leave it up to the streamers involved to speak on this one?
So he doesn't even announce who it is. What? That's just throwing the fucking line and not even having bait on it. Come on. That's bullshit. We're figuring this out tonight. It all comes back to me, huh? It all comes back to me. You really think I am the 5th person, chat? XUC has no respect for me whatsoever, okay? He would have said my name in 2 seconds. It is not me, all right? I did not get with Katerino ever. Well, I did do something with CallMeCarson. I got into a call with him. But as for Katerino, I never did shit.
Now that we have that information out there, I should mention the total number of claims that were made against Kate versus the number that we actually have to work with. So, how many were there? 7, 9, 12? Try 19. That's right. There were a total of 19 guys that got named in this, but 12 of them can be immediately disproven. This knocks out 63% of the allegations and leaves us with only 7 actual claims to work with. Nice detective work, guys. Real proud of you. Actually getting into things, we have to understand that there are multiple stories with unconfirmed details, as well as not having a solid conclusion about Carson. So, I decided the best way to represent this information was to create 3 different scenarios. One is biased against Kate, one is biased in her favor, and the other is what I personally believe took place. All of these scenarios will note the difference between a hookup and a boyfriend, where we can then use that information to calculate an undistinguished total. Starting with the worst case scenario, it assumes that Kate was dating Anthony, I Will Dominate, and Carson all at once, while also hooking up with Fitz. This also assumes that the 3 unknown suspects are different individuals, even though the likelihood of that is low. This gives us 3 boyfriends and a minimum of 4 hookups, leaving us with a total of 7 guys involved. Though the best case scenario still leaves Anthony, I Will Dominate, Tommy and Fitz in the same positions, it also assumes that the 3 unknown suspects are the same person, as well as believing that Carson either lied about having sex or lied about the relationship entirely. This only leaves us with 2 boyfriends and 2 hookups, which would bring our total to 4 guys. Had I Will Dominate not been involved, then this scenario would potentially vindicate Kate, absolving her of any wrongdoing and making this situation one of the most prolific instances of cancel culture. In terms of my guess as to what happened, I believe in my earlier theory that Carson and Kate did actually manage to hook up. This was then followed by a period of miscommunication, and this would put Carson into the hookup category for a total of 5 guys involved, but still only 2 boyfriends. Before concluding this video, I want to explain why this situation turned out the way it did. Every other time a cheating scandal has occurred on YouTube or Twitch, the controversy would typically become irrelevant after a week. The dogpiling of Kate would last for nearly 2 months. Before anyone jumps to conclusions, I want to make it clear that this has nothing to do with Kate being a woman. Instead, the reason this happened was because it was the perfect storm of events. When everything went down, Carson was beloved by his community, and was blindly viewed as a creator who could do no wrong. The audience that was surrounding this situation initially viewed it with contempt and disgust, and the people wanted to see Kate's career burn. Whether it be through making memes or spreading actual misinformation, everyone wanted to be first to unveil the next boyfriend that would be added to the list, with nobody bothering to check the accuracy of any claims, and blindly believing anyone who was going against Kate. This even went as far as 2Mad turning this situation into a bit on his streams, with over 10,000 concurrent viewers, as well as Swordaway making a song about everything and taking his accusations in stride. Whether it be amateur detectives insisting they are right, or Kate rescinding her apology, nearly everyone let their own feelings and beliefs get in the way of the truth, and this is what has made retelling this story so difficult. To this day, people continue to blindly run with the Carson was Kate's boyfriend narrative, even though this claim is tenuous at best. Almost everyone who retells this story has either failed to properly research it, often lazily stealing the misguided work of others, or they too have refused to accept that they contributed to the zeitgeist that destroyed Kate's career. Due to key figures choosing to hide or lie instead of giving out actual information, all we can do is take what we can get and use it to make a more accurate guess as to what happened. Though we can't come to a definitive conclusion about how many people Kate was involved with, as well as to what degree, there is still one thing that remains factual about this story. You can win the rat race, but you're still a rat.